So, welcome to the second Sunday meditation. And we are here today to um, relax and unwind. And the topic for today is around peace, as September is the month where we have the International Day of Peace. And it is my favorite holiday. So, I again want to invite each of you who are here to put a word in the chat that makes you feel peace, or a word you associate with peace, or any kind of idea that you have around peace. And of course, I also am welcoming you to put in where you're from. I love to know where you're from. It's so nice to see where all those many points of light are shining from as we prepared for a meditation together and share some time. So we'll just take a few minutes to do that. And before we slip into our meditation, let's see what some of these words are. Equanimity, calm, quiet, deeply centered. We've got people from Colorado and Florida and Delaware, and I love it. Harmony, tranquility, serenity, a dove, yes. Imagery, grace, balance, acceptance. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. There's so many dimensions to the idea of peace. And you know, because the International Day of Peace is really a call that encourages each of us to consider how we can contribute to a more peaceful world, starting right where we are. It begins within, it radiates outward into our communities. And this is a time I'd like to invite all of us to reflect on peace and our own personal role in fostering peace. Um, the idea can feel overwhelming sometimes, even like, wow, is this even possible? It seems like it might even not be, but I'm holding the faith, and I believe absolutely that it is. And I also believe it is often built through those small, consistent actions that ripple out from each of us and touching the lives of those around us. So my invitation to you during this month is that we focus on fostering peace within our communities and embracing mindful actions, and in particular, our heart-centered or open-hearted communication. And one of the things that I want to take a moment to touch on this morning before we sink into meditation is using our own meditation as kind of a model for cultivating the habits that can result not only in peace within us, but in peace with around us. And the ideas that I want to explore have been integral to part of my own personal practice for many years. And I actually first heard them succinctly presented by Sarah McLean and relative to practicing meditation. And she refers to them as the 5 essentials for a successful meditation practice. And for those of us familiar with her work, it's of course, it's okay to have thoughts in your meditation. Oftentimes, particularly new meditators think if we're having thoughts, then something's wrong. I assure you, after 30 plus years of meditating, those thoughts are still there. So, and I know there's others in this group that can testify the same thing. So it's okay to have thoughts, be kind to yourself, don't try too hard. It's not an effortful practice. We also want to let go of expectations, and we want to stick with it. And these 5 essentials are actually deeply ingrained in various meditation teachings and traditions, and they reflect universal principles that are advocated in contemporary and traditional meditation practices and among meditation teachers. But they not only enhance our meditation, They can be cornerstones of fundamental practice in our daily life. And I like to think of them as a mindset for living. It's a mindset of acceptance and compassion and resilience. And they can really empower our lives to be aligned more with peace and a kind of a mindful presence. So, we're going to take a moment and take a quick look at these as we consider how they can be integrated in some of our, day-to-day experiences, and particularly in our relationships with others and within our experiences in community. And so I think it's important to understand, as I mentioned, that the mind will naturally wander, and this is part of the human experience. And this is in meditation, it is in conversation, it is in activities that we're doing throughout our day. And as we accept the idea that we can be distracted, sometimes more easily than we would like, this idea can reduce our frustration and really help promote a peaceful mind, something that we, um, can benefit on a moment by moment basis. And so it applies to embracing mindful actions. When we're attempting mindfulness, can we be okay with the fact that thoughts are arising that are distracting us from the moment? When we're in communication with someone, and judgments arise, and they do, we it does they do arise when we interact with others, and sometimes I'm surprised at the thoughts that can pop into my head. But as we gently acknowledge them and we bring our focus back to the commitment that we've made, to the actions that we're taking, um, and we have a moment to pause, and we can take a deep breath, and we can return um, to the thought at hand. So it helps to foster some patience and peace within. Now, being kind to ourselves is also important in our day to day practices, and it helps us to minimize self criticism and the harshness that can often feed conflict with others, but conflict within ourselves that can feel very stressful. And so we want to speak to ourselves with kindness, even as we're walking through our day, even when we make mistakes, even when it's a big flubber. Just pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and embrace yourself with um, kindness. And it also definitely extends to other people. Sometimes our biggest frustrations can come in our communications with others, and we want to be kind to them as well, regardless of what it may feel like. And many of you have heard me say that when people are not acting from a place of love, they're often acting from their own pain. And so kindness is really what's called for. And then we want to look at, don't try too hard. You know, our practice doesn't have to be effortful. It's not necessary in the, I'm going to call it the art of creating change. Trying too hard can build tension, and it can generate stress. And it's almost the antithesis of peace. And so, in our actions and in our communications, we want to aim for a bit of ease and uh, maybe an effort without tension, so that things will be allowed to unfold a little more naturally. Letting go of expectations. This is a big one. So often we are a culture full of shoulds. We believe it should be this way, it should be that way, and I'm going to say that's kind of a lazy way to talk, because what is it that we really mean? And if we stop and think about what is it that we really mean, we may not feel that strongly about should, or we might be able to communicate it in a way that might allow us to be better heard. But oftentimes, expectations really do lead to disappointment and conflict. In I know in my studies on the Buddhist path, expectation was equated to disappointment. It's almost like if you have expectations, there is a really good chance that you are setting yourself up. So we want to let go of these things in our relationships, in our community interactions, and open ourselves to really experience things as they are. And this can go a long way to promote understanding and peace. And then finally, the last one is to stick with it. Consistency is the key in any practice. I think we all have been in the world long enough to know this, especially when we're looking to cultivate qualities like peace and mindfulness. Those of us committed to mindful meditation practices or exercise or yoga or cultivating patience, we know that it is the consistency that actually starts to build towards a result. Even if we fall off the curb from time to time, it is so much easier to step back up into our practice. So when we commit to a regular practice of fostering peace by embracing our mindful actions, embracing the open hearted communication, even when it feels challenging. Just, just stick with it. And I, I can't say enough that I almost said I believe, but I'm changing that to I know. I know peace is possible. And I invite you to hold this idea in your heart in every interaction without exception. Leave a space for that possibility. Love will prevail as we create and hold space for it. It's a practice and it starts within us. That power is in our hands and then it radiates from us with every thought and every word and every action. So the five essentials, they are like cornerstone tools for our meditation, but also for our daily lives, where peace can actually become a living reality and ripple out. So, our meditation today is going to take us into a space where we are going to hold that idea and we are going to ripple it out into the world. So, let's make ourselves comfortable in our seats. I can never thank you enough for your open and juicy hearts and your willingness to, just join me in these spaces. So let's find a comfortable position where we're relaxed. Either an upright position is highly recommended. If you're in a chair, let's put our feet flat on the ground. We can rest our hands comfortably in our lap. At any point, I invite you to close your eyes or at least keep a downward gaze with a soft focus if that's more comfortable for you. We're going to just start with 3 deep breaths. And we'd like us to inhale through our nose, exhale through our nose. We're breathing together, but breathing at our own pace. Holding gently at the top and exhaling fully. 3 or 4 full breaths. And I want us to briefly scan your body, starting at the top of your head and moving the energy down towards your feet where we ground into the earth. Just inviting yourself to release any tension. You know yourself well enough. Where do you hold yours? Let it go, relaxing from head to toe. You're safe. We are in a safe place. We are with community. We're embracing a moment of peace and inner quiet, bringing our focus inward, connecting to your heart, to your personal source of God or spirit, the divine that dwells within you, whatever that means to you. Grounding our energy into the embrace of Mother Earth. We're going to take a few moments to reflect on peace, what it means to you personally. Breathing in peace, breathing out calm. What does it mean to you to be at peace, to be a radiant source of peace? And as we allow ourselves to relax even more deeply, I'm going to invite you to hold a clear intention to allow this sense of peace to be alive within you during our meditation. I'm going to start with a visualization. And today, each of us, we're sitting at the edge of a beautiful pond, serene and calm. The water is still. Imagine yourself sitting there completely at ease, comfortable. I'd even invite you to allow a smile to curve on your face, taking a moment to feel the wonderful gift of the endorphins and dopamine that flood our brain in these moments. Just take in the scene around you. And then I'd like you to reach into your pocket and pull out a smooth, heart-shaped stone. Maybe it's a rose quartz or jade or amethyst. Just pick one of your favorite stones. Holding it in your hand, take a moment to breathe your peaceful intentions into this stone. Just blow on it gently, allowing the peace that you hold within to also fill that stone. Then each of us will toss this stone into the pond, imagining that it lands right in the center of the pond. And as it breaks the surface of the water, watch as the ripples gently expand outward from the place where the stone touched the water. Imagine ripples of peace spreading out with the ripples on the pond. And as we allow this sense of relaxation within us to deepen, visualize the ripples within you, the peace within you, rippling out beyond yourself, touching the spaces around you, people around you, extending out into your community, into this virtual community, touching each other, touching the world. Allow yourself to sense the interconnectedness, the impact of your sense of inner peace impacting the world around you. And with your attention resting on your breath, sitting in the stillness of this space, and allow yourself to simply be in this space of peace. The ripples continuing to expand. Let us sit in this space together. I will mind the time. Just allow yourself. As your mind drifts off, just return to that sense of peace and those ripples going out. Know you're safe. Each of us a radiant center of peace. timeless, infinite. with our eyes still closed, maintaining a relaxed sense of presence. Take a deep breath and gently bring your awareness to the sensations of your body. Allow the awareness of your senses, your surroundings. Notice any changes in your state of mind or in your body. Take a few more deep breaths. Maybe before we open our eyes, we might want to move our bodies a little bit, maybe stretch a little. I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. And I'd also like to invite you, all of us, to carry this sense of peace with us throughout the day, to share it with others in our interactions, in our just in our presence. There can be a radiant sense of peace that others can feel. Others can feel the energy we bring into a room. And as we consciously embrace the idea of peace in our world, may we embrace the radiant peace that lives within each of us. And as we think about closing, um, I'd like to invite you to consider three peace practices that have become cornerstones in my own life. And one of those is a morning mindful moment to begin each day with just a brief mindfulness practice. Now, you can begin with a big, long mindfulness practice if you like. I highly recommend that. But just taking a moment, a few moments with a few conscious breaths, just to bring ourselves right into the here and the now. It might even look like setting a positive intention for the day. Just a simple practice like this can help us center our minds and start the day with a sense of calm. And I personally have been surprised at how deeply impactful this practice has been in my own life. And the second practice that I would invite you to consider is active listening in conversations with um, well, with ourselves, but with everyone. I know, yeah, sometimes even listening to ourselves can be a challenge, but but in conversations with other people, really being fully present and without interrupting or formulating our response beforehand. And many of us have bright, active minds, and we are ready to roll with the next new idea. And it can be a real practice to just hold our space. And this does help enhance connections, and it helps. Well, it helps foster understanding because we may hear something that we might have missed otherwise. And it certainly helps people feel like they're being heard and even seen. Um, and the third practice I would like to suggest is spending a few moments each day on a good old standard power practice of gratitude. And you may want to jot it down somewhere, or you may just want to acknowledge it mentally. But this really does help to cultivate a positive mindset and an appreciation for all the beauty in our lives. And it brings us into the present moment And it does promote that sense of inner peace. And so I'm going to stop there as far as recommending things to do. I think three things is probably a really good start. I am going to pop a couple of things into the chat uh, for you. They are, let's see, what have I got in here? Um, a couple of things. I have um, put in the a link to a recent blog post that has a sort of a peace practice checklist. So if anyone would like to visit that and kind of renew the ideas that we've visited with here today. And then I also, for anyone that is not getting my newsletter, I put a recent newsletter in there, and you can check it out and see if it's something that you might enjoy receiving on a regular basis. And then I just got a wild hair this morning and thought I would also link to a YouTube video with a rather upbeat song from one of my favorite peaceniks, Michael Franti. And it's a nice kind of sing along song that I have often shared, and thought that uh, it never hurts to, you know, get a little happy on, right? so so we can do that. But I'm always have to remind myself that peace doesn't mean that we must be in a place where there's like no noise, no trouble, no disturbance, no hard work. It really does mean being in the midst of all of these things, and still reaching for or being present for the calm that's in our heart. And so let's carry this calmness, let's carry this sense of peace forward in our day. Let it guide our interactions. Let it guide our choices and our decisions. And and can we commit even beyond today, but every day strive to build a more peaceful world. We can do this. It is possible, and it does start with the choices that we're each making. And I would like to invite anyone for comments or questions or any little conversation. But if, in case people start to slip off, I just wanted to share one more little thing, in that I'm excited about something that's brewing a little bit. It was inspired by this month's discussions on peace, and it was particularly inspired by a conversation I had with Lori recently. And it's an idea that is meant to help us dive a little deeper and bring more peaceful vibes in our day-to-day life. And that's all I'm going to tell you at this point. I look forward to telling you more about it soon. And so keep an eye out for updates in the weeks ahead. And of course, we have our next second Sunday is October 13th. And this recording, since we did finally get it recorded, will be on YouTube for anyone to review, share with others, or anyone who has missed it. And of course, I just want to thank you for being here and for sharing your light. And you are all really an amazing source of peace in our world. So, if anyone would like to share anything, you're welcome to unmute yourself. I Any thoughts on peace, or on what you're doing to celebrate peace? That would be, I'm always open to hearing what is happening there. And I'm also going to stop the recording in case anybody feels shy about sharing on tape. So.